And so when I went to the bar mitzvah, I started telling everyone that this kid's about to get circumcised, and because that's just who I am, I have to share the news. And so I would go around, but then I had told so many people that I psyched myself up so much that I didn't want, and this is the first time in my life I've never wanted to see a penis, but I did not want to see him get circumcised. And so I went up to his mother and I was like, great party, I love this,
Gotta go.
but I'm Mormon and I can't see him get circumcised. And she looked at me confused, and then she took me by the hand to a group of women who are all middle-aged, and she told me, I want you to say exactly what you just told me to these women. And I did, not thinking it was anything crazy, and they all burst into laughter, and I was mortified.
Hi, gay. I'm PJ Brescia, they, them pronouns, your host of the BabyGay Podcast and the founder of the BabyGay community, celebrating the coming out process through storytelling, advocacy, and togetherness. I came out later in life and I knew nothing about queer culture. I'm still not an expert, so let's go on a journey of self-discovery together with amazing guests, diverse coming out stories, LGBTQI plus history, and everything in between. This is the BabyGay Podcast. Coming out looks good on you. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the BabyGay Podcast. I'm your host, PJ Brescia, they, them. And today we have an incredibly special guest, H. Alan Scott, who is a senior culture writer from Newsweek.
Yes, I don't know how special.
Very special.
Let's be real. This might be the lowest viewed video, and that's
That's
fine.
not true.
That's fine.
Not
we're
true.
all meeting ourselves where we're at,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
2025.
Yes,
Just
exactly.
making by. Just trying to get
Just
by.
day by day.
Day by
Literally
day.
one day at a time.
Day by day. One day at a time. Love that show.
It is a good show.
It is a good show.
It is-
Justice for it. It got canceled by Netflix. It was the remake, then it got canceled. I forget the star's name. Oh my God. But it was canceled. It had Rita Moreno in it. Like,
Okay.
and then they canceled it. And it took place in this neighborhood.
Where?
Yeah, the remake was set in the Silver Lake neighborhood. It was all about the gentrification of sort of Silver Lake and everything happening. And it used to be obviously a legendary Hispanic neighborhood. And then, of course, gentrification came through. And so One Day at a Time kind of shadowed that a little bit.
I love that. Wait,
Yeah.
so what era? When did this? Is
This was like just a couple years ago, because
Okay.
it was a remake of the 70s, 80s show that
Okay.
starred Valerie Bertinelli.
Oh,
Yes.
well, that just reminds me of how excited I am for the last season of The Comeback.
Oh, yes. Trust me. I am already at work plotting and doing all the things I need to do to get what I need out of The Comeback season 3. I'm obsessed. The Comeback is like one of my top 5 shows of all time.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's a cult classic.
It's not even a cult classic. I mean, it is in that not enough people respect it. But to me, it's like an industry classic.
Yeah.
It means if you know comedy, if you get comedy and you get greatness, you get The Comeback.
Yeah.
And if you don't get those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will also say it's kind of like a queer. It's
very queer. That's all
iconic
Michael Patrick
show.
King. That's
Okay.
Michael Patrick King, and also how Lisa Kudrow. What I love about Lisa Kudrow is that she gives off, because of the Phoebe energy, everyone thinks she's kind of like flighty or whatever. Lisa Kudrow's kind of cunty.
Yeah.
In like she says things that are sardonic and maybe borderline bitchy, but in like the most fabulously gay way.
Yes.
The real Lisa Kudrow, not
Yes.
Valerie Cherish.
Yes.
And I think Valerie's infused with that. I once, years ago, at the beginning of COVID, first time I interviewed Lisa Kudrow. I've interviewed her a few times since,
Okay.
but we were on the phone because of COVID and we couldn't like do anything. And I asked her about The Comeback, and the way that she shifted immediately from her voice into the Valerie voice, it was wild. It's still, I sometimes go back and listen to it and it blows me away.
Do you think her switching back and forth is even conscious, or is it just like her?
It's very conscious.
Oh, you
It's
think so?
very
Okay.
intentional.
Okay.
She's very intentional with
Yeah.
everything she does in
Yeah.
terms of her acting. I mean, yeah, and we've talked about that too in our interviews, and how she just knows the character and leans into it. And she's incredible.
She's brilliant.
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 Like I'm just still surprised. She's always been nominated for Valerie Cherish for the Emmy. She's never won. So if she doesn't win for this final season of The Comeback, I will create my own January 6th. It'll be a queer uprising. It'll be a January 5th. I took that from Jean Marco. He's a great comic, and I just had him on the podcast, and he said something about January 5th being a gay uprising, but with a lisp,
Okay,
you know?
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
I'm so grateful. You are doing so many things,
Yeah.
and I'm so inspired by you.
Oh, well,
and
thank you.
just like let's go to the beginning. There's a lot of things that I can relate. Like I well, I mean, your conversion to Judaism.
Yeah.
I grew up in a town in New York that was very
Where in New York?
in Scarsdale.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I
know
was like
Scarsdale, lots of Mormons there.
there.
I was raised Mormon and converted to Judaism later, but Mormonism, a lot of people don't know this. They think only Utah.
Yeah.
It actually started in upstate New York in and around sort of Rochester area. And
I did
then
not know
it
that.
sort of spread throughout parts of New York until New York decided to get really angry and things weren't good for them, for the state, for Joseph Smith. And they moved to Missouri, where my family's from. And so it kind of migrated there. And then when Joseph Smith got in trouble, and I think he got killed in Missouri, or maybe it was lower Illinois, I forget, but he got killed there. They all had to move to Utah.
Wow.
So New York and your area of New York is part of Mormon history.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I'm
the Ken Burns of gays.
Right?
History.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I love history. I mean, I was not actually someone that enjoyed history growing up. And it wasn't until me coming out later that I learned anything about queer history. And that was through the creation of this project. And it's just so incredible and something that I don't think is discussed enough.
Yeah.
About, I think, well, one, it's definitely not taught in schools.
No.
And it's only going to get less and less taught, I feel.
Yeah. At least for the foreseeable future.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to kind of dive into the historical side of things. Like we're here in queer history at the Black Cat, which was going back to the riots of 1967.
Yeah.
So
2 years before Stonewall.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
but we
much.
love Stonewall. The discourse is great.
We do.
Yes.
We do. We just want to shed light that there are other...
There was just more. Also, too, I mean, we were talking before we started recording, but, like, I really do think that early Hollywood, especially before the code got in place, like, early Hollywood was very much it's where gays got inspired. I mean, what kind of homosexual wasn't inspired by Judy Garland and Wizard of Oz?
Right.
Like, there's so much gay history that isn't often spoke of in and around Los Angeles and Hollywood.
Tell us some tidbits that you like that stick to
one
you.
of the things that really sticks out to me about I lived in New York for a long time. I love New York. I was there when marriage equality was passed that year. It was a wonderful year to be at sort of, and I don't even like going to Pride events because I'm not an outdoors person. I'm an AC person, but I was there for that. And so I loved New York, but I've lived in Los Angeles for a long time. Los Angeles is home to me, and I love Los Angeles so much. And one of the things that I think is so interesting about queer history in Los Angeles is that so much of how we access queerness, both in my child, I'm sure, I mean, I don't know if you were probably a failed straight person in that, like, you probably weren't the best straight person, so you looked at some queer stuff, right?
I was.
How good of a straight were you?
It's funny because to me, I was very much trying so hard until, like, I was running from it, and my biggest anxiety was everyone's talking about that I'm gay.
Yeah.
But then when I came out, and I don't know if people are just saying this, but like a lot of people were like, oh, I had no idea. I was like, really?
Well, so like, what was your reaction then to a Sears catalog or maybe like a underwear ad? Like, how did you as a straight man at that point or person like respond?
I mean, I definitely was excited about it for sure.
Yeah.
Like I remember having dreams as a young person and like a sex dream with men and being excited about that and being like, whoa, why am I excited about this? Like, why do I want to kiss this man? This is weird. And then like, I always wanted to do more than kissing, but and so, well, I asked that because so much of queerness and queer identity is through pop culture and through culture. Yeah. And especially for millennials, and I think people older than millennials, that we have to access our queerness through media. And Los Angeles is a town of media. It's a town of movies and television. It's a town of models and beautiful people. And so a lot of times those pictorial magazines, they were all coming out of Los Angeles. It was all these actors who couldn't make it in Hollywood, who were taking these model pictures, who then those magazines would be shipped and gay boys would secretly look at them for generations. And of course, oftentimes police would they'd get in trouble and there'd be problems. But like, there was definitely this moment of the impact of Los Angeles and Los Angeles queer culture and sort of even the subversive queer identities of Los Angeles seeping into culture throughout the country and maybe even throughout the world, allowing queer people to sort of look at that and maybe have a bit of a chub looking at a little pictorial magazine and make them think maybe I am something else, Yeah. And it probably was very scary, but at least you had the material.
and that's came from Los Angeles oftentimes.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's like the epicenter of the world of culture, and I do feel like there was so much queerness that was under the table or unspoken about even back then, like in during the Judy Garland era, where I mean, Rock Hudson, like, and I feel like all of his peers, they're all gay.
Well, even just downtown Los Angeles, there's a great book, Gay LA, I think it's called, and it talks about sort of the bars in, I think, the 20s and 30s maybe in downtown Los Angeles, and that in order for them to have a gay space, it had to have a cabaret of some kind. And so they would have drag acts sing and perform at bars in downtown so that gay men could congregate, but it was a cabaret bar, so it was legal. And so they would get around the codes and the laws and the censors of the time by sort of finding their own way around it. You know what I mean? And that's how early drag is, or modern drag at least, because drag's been around for a long time.
From my research, in the 60s, same-sex kissing was illegal, right?
Yeah.
So the recognition of, we can have this space that's meant for queer folks, gay men, how was that? So that became legal just because there was a performer?
Well, in parts, I mean, obviously laws have changed over the years, but like a part of that in the 1920s, 30s, I believe that was the era, was that they had to have some sort of singing act, dancing act, something act. And then, of course, there were cabaret laws that got blocked. So like you couldn't dance in bars. Like it all changed over the years. But it just really illustrates the point that like queer people will find a way to congregate no matter what. We're kind of like roaches in that way, in that, life finds a way. We'll be there. It's very Jurassic Park of us. And we get into the areas and we'll have a queer space. Yeah. So like no matter what laws are passed or no matter what someone says about queer people, tries to block queer people from doing something or even existing, we still always will exist.
We've always been here. We will always be here. Yes. And it's just like, I mean, that's just an exhausting fight. It's like,
it is exhausting, but it's also like, people talk about, I was just talking with someone about this the other day, the depression of the news and the depression of sort of the state of the world. And yes, I recognize that I come from a very privileged place as a white American, I would say male presenting, but like, I carry a purse. So like, we're not presenting that much. And but that said, I do carry a lot of privilege in me being able to say this. But there is something to be said about being present in the moment with the community. So much of where change happens starts with the local community, where you have to be with your community. You can get lost in what's happening to, and you should be cognizant of what's happening to a queer person in Knoxville, Tennessee or something. But focus on your local community. And if everyone really started focusing on sort of their local communities and uplifting and protecting and doing what's right for their communities, it would help the greater community. We'd be strong, we'd be united in a way by focusing on our local communities. Yeah. So I really feel that like, not to get depressed about the news, just focus on the local stuff. And it can be depressing too, but at the very least, like, be there for your community.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, and it's something that we started. So after this election in November, there was obviously a period of strong sadness, and
of course,
I started to kind of dial all the other queer community leaders of Los Angeles that I had connections to, and basically, long story short, we had this great call, and since then has formed the LA Queer Coalition. So we have now had 2 town halls. So the goal with this coalition, we're going to have quarterly town halls where we kind of come together and uplift the community and focus on a topic that per town hall. So the first one, we ended up pivoting because it was in January, so it ended up being like a fire resource share solidarity event. Yeah. Then our next one, which was the original idea, was a panel about healthcare and legal rights for the TGI2+ community. So we're now, it's been this incredible just experience of coming together, everyone kind of having different backgrounds and different expertise, but working together as this like cohort. And it's been so healing. I've made this incredible new friends, and that's great. It really, just as what you're saying, like it's very grassroots, but it's very much feeling like we are doing something with our voices, we're doing something with our resources, and the goal is to uplift the community. So
yeah, I mean, I always say that, like, you can say whatever you want about Trump or Republicans or Democrats or the state of politics or whatever's happening and whatever they're saying about trans people or queer people or whatever. But at the end of the day, that queer trans woman in West Hollywood needs a job, needs a place to live, needs health care, needs access to a community. That access to those things are at the local level. And so get her those things at the local level. Work with organizations like, AIDS Project Los Angeles, which is a fantastic organization that does so much for queer people in this community, and helping people stay afloat no matter what's happening in Washington, because different administrations have done better things and have been more in line with what we need, but there still is the focus on that queer person who will always be struggling, who needs a job, needs a place to live, and needs a doctor.
100%.
But I'm not political.
Right. We're not political at all. But it's like, I was thinking about this in prep, like, how political do I want to get with this? But it's like, in reality, every day.
Everything's political.
Everything's
everything is, I wouldn't necessarily call myself a political person. I feel like I'm really well versed in politics. I used to work in politics. But I'm not necessarily a political person. But that said, I do think people politicize me and who I am and how I live and what I do. And so because of that, you can think whatever you want. I'm just doing me. I'm just going to keep doing me, advocate for the people that I love and want to see thrive in the world, and tell the stories that I think are important to tell. And if you don't like that, that's fine. Yeah. You don't have to listen.
So let's go to the beginning.
Oh.
I want to hear more about you growing up.
Yeah.
What was childhood like? Your family?
I'm from Missouri, St. Louis, Missouri. I, just blue collar family. We were raised Mormon. I was Mormon for years. And and just very traditional blue collar working class family.
Do you have siblings?
I do. I have 3 immediate brothers, but I also have a lot of step and half because my parents, my mom always jokes that we were too poor to be conservative Mormons. And so we did things in a different way. So my parents got divorced, and because there was abuse there with my father. And so my mom got remarried to a wonderful man she's still married to. And so it was just strange. So I have lots of step and half siblings, but yeah, mainly 3 immediate brothers.
3, and where do you fall in the order?
Second to youngest.
Okay.
Yeah. I could say I'm third to oldest, but it sounds better to say I'm second to youngest.
What's the age gap between people?
My little brother is 2 years younger than me, and my older brothers are 3 and 4 years older than me. Yeah.
Because my siblings are 10, 13, and 16 years older than me.
Yeah, so sort of similar range.
Similar.
Oh, wait, older than you?
Older than me.
Oh, never mind. Not similar range.
I'm like the baby by a lot. But
so you are the baby
I'm
gay.
I'm the baby gay.
Wow.
The baby gay.
Yeah. I'm definitely more young in terms of what I know and do.
Okay.
And the life that I live. Because they all have kids and live that life. So I'm definitely living a younger life than they are. So technically I am kind of the youngest.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for validating
Yeah,
that.
of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
So when you were growing up, what did you, let's talk about your coming out story.
Sure.
Was that how old were you?
I never really had to come out because I've always been very homosexual. I always say that the day I became gay was the last day I was Mormon. Story time.
Okay.
I wasn't baptized. So I was Mormon kids in general can't get baptized until they're 8, 9, 10, until they have to be older so that they can make a decision about being Mormon. And you go through a whole class.
So it's the
thing
choice. It's really the onus is on the individual.
It's not much of a choice, but yes. Okay. And so, how much of a choice do you have when you're 8, 9 years old? Right. The choice is just get me out of here. I want a snack,
right.
But I put it off for years because I had so many questions. The first sign I was Jewish. And so I didn't get baptized until I was 12, 13. And so finally I agreed to be baptized, primarily because the missionary that would be a part of my baptism journey, because you have to go through a whole process, was very attractive. And 18, 19-year-old kid, gorgeous, blonde. The Mormon picture of a porn that you'd ever want. And so I did it and I went through it. And then when you get baptized, you're in a room, a conference room at the temple with sort of your family and friends and people in the church. And you have to wear this white sort of outfit, a robe-like outfit with nothing on underneath. And you're it's supposed to be a body of water, but you're essentially in a jacuzzi with an older man who is the elder who says the prayers, and then a younger man who holds the even younger man and dips him in water. perfect setup for a wonka wonka wonka. And so I am getting dunked at 13 years old. I got a little hair on down there, and things are happening. And I'm not thinking about Jesus or Brigham Young or Joseph Smith or anything. I'm literally only thinking that the top of my head is maybe an inch away from what makes him a man. And so something happens. I feel something happening while I'm dunked in this holy water. And then I get presented to my entire family in a white clingy robe with somewhat of a chub and hair showing to everybody through that white clingy robe. So I knew then that A, I liked dudes, and then B, I wasn't Mormon. Yeah.
Was that addressed?
No,
at the time?
No. Mormons don't address things ever. I mean, no shit on Mormons. God love them. I guess they do.
Yeah.
But that was never addressed.
Okay.
Never addressed. But also, I feel like no one ever addressed anything with me because in my family, I mean, so there was when I converted to Judaism, some wonderful people wanted to make a film of sort of the process of that, called Latter-day Jew. And whenever we would screen the movie, people would always say like, your brothers and your stepdad, they're so quiet. Like, do they not accept you? Are they not loving? And I always say like, no, they're just boring people. Like they just really are. They're lovely, and they love me to death. And they're so accepting and loving, but they're just boring people. And so people are often, I think, intimidated by me in spaces because I'm loud and I talk and I'm not afraid to talk back. And my mom's the same way. And so I don't think anyone would address me on something like that because they know it would become a larger conversation with me.
Well, I say that because I can relate on a lot of different levels. And it's me finally now later in life. I'm 36 now, and I've now in the past couple of years started to really come to myself and feel my confidence and finding my alignment. And I do see that triggering others in my sphere.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I've never had a career path, and I've never thought about what I wanted to do and then chased after it. You know what I mean? I mean, there were years that I would pursue things, but I've always been very present in sort of the moment. And I've never really thought too much of what's next because for me, even creatively, I never really think about, I don't think of myself as a confident person, although I do feel like I am confident, but I think I'm also like, I'm very self-aware and self-deprecating, and that's just a part of my humor and who I am. But I'm very confident in sort of who I am and like my voice and my point of view, and everything else is most often a failure, but I know how to talk. That's the only thing I do well. And so, I've always just sort of just been very present and not really thinking about getting better at something, just sort of answering or following the things that feel right in the moment. And so like converting was one of those things that, I always kind of felt it was there, and I got cancer when I was younger. And so it took that period, those few years there where I was going through chemo and recovering, that I was like, oh, I have time to convert because Jews make you work. And so I had some time to do that. And that was less of this is where I want my life to go, and more of this is what I've always known I am. I just need to do this thing to make it official.
At what age did you start?
I was 30 when I got cancer, and then that's when I started the conversion process as well. People like to associate my conversion with cancer, and I'm sure there was a catalyst there in some sort of Freudian background area of my brain, but in reality, it really was a practical, like, I have time on my hands, and so I can read and go to class and do the things I need to do in order to become the Jew I want to be in the world. And so I committed to that, and I did that. And yeah.
So was it in your 20s that it even crossed your mind that like
it was when I was in college that I knew, it was pretty instantaneous when I took a Jewish studies sort of course and met other Jews and sort of started understanding more. I was like, oh, well, that's like, because the question that I had during the missionary year of when you get ready for your baptism was, I kept being like, well, why are we, because Mormons were very focused on sort of like death and heaven and, well, the celestial kingdom and like all those things. You know what I mean? Like they were very focused on what happens after you die. And that feels like a waste of time for me because like that's like, you know, living your life or like living a budget so that you're going to win the lottery someday. Like
Right.
you can't live like that.
Yeah.
And so that just seemed not practical. And so I had all these questions, and every single time the elder would always be like, you know, just have faith. Just don't worry about those things. But I would always worry about it, Jew. And so when I started to get the answers to those things, it all started clicking. And that's when I just knew. It just felt right. There was no question, you know?
I begged in middle school. I begged my parents for a bar mitzvah.
Oh, really?
Begged,
Oh, wow.
begged.
They didn't give it to you, did they?
I didn't get it.
Were you Catholic?
I was raised Catholic,
Yeah.
so I was like one of the only Catholic families, and it was just I always wanted to be Jewish, and I always wanted a bar mitzvah. Like I don't know. I always really. I mean, granted, all of my closest friends are Jewish. Like I always felt a kinship to
Yeah.
the Jewish community.
See,
and
I
Jewish
had the
religion.
opposite. There were in St. Louis, there were no other Jews around me. Like there were none. I mean, there were two Jews that I knew in my school. And actually the first time I knew I wanted to be a comedian was at one of the Jews, like of the two Jews in my school, his bar mitzvah. My mom is similar to me, likes to practical jokes and do things to people. And for me, she told me that they circumcised the boy at the bar mitzvah, and I believed her because she's mom. And so I went to, and also she knows me. And so when I went to the bar mitzvah, I started telling everyone that this kid's about to get circumcised, you know. And because that's just who I am, I have to share the news. And so I would go around. But then I had told so many people that I psyched myself up so much that I didn't want, and this is the first time in my life I've never wanted to see a penis, but I did not want to see him get circumcised. And so I went up to his mother and I was like, great party. I love this.
Gotta go.
But I'm Mormon and I can't see him get circumcised. And she looked at me confused, and then she took me by the hand to a group of women who are all middle-aged, and she told me, I want you to say exactly what you just told me to these women. And I did, not thinking it was anything crazy, and they all burst into laughter. And I was mortified, but I also kind of loved it because I was like, I don't know what I did to make these people laugh, but I had been making people laugh, and I like it. And so that was sort of that first itch of that energy of making someone laugh.
So yeah, let's dive into the comedy
Yeah.
career. So then, what's the progression there?
Hey, baby gays, if you're enjoying the podcast and you're interested in learning more about the baby gay community, make sure to visit our website at www.baby.gay to discover more info about our events, merch, and all the ways to connect. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and share. Love you.
So yeah, let's dive into the comedy
Yeah.
career. So then, what's the progression there?
I'm not good at anything else. I'm only good at talking. No, I started in stand-up. I went to school in Chicago, and then I moved to New York. I lived in New York for a few years, and then I moved to Los Angeles. And I've never been. I'm not one to like. I don't need to be on stage all the time. That's not the kind of comic I am. I needed to understand the foundations of how to tell a joke, because I knew how to write jokes, and I knew that I was funny, and I knew how to communicate funny. But I needed the respect of comedians, but also because I needed their respect, and I needed them to be peers of mine, because I knew that was my class of people that I had to be with. But at the same time, I also professionally knew that I wanted to be in and around personalities in comedy, and I just wanted to figure out a way to make a living off me being me. Again, not good at other things. And so I did that, and I started doing stand-up. And stand-up to me is like one of the, even though I'm not known for it, it's like one of the most important things I've ever done in my life, because it has given me the ability to communicate in a way that I'm good at, and I don't think other people can do. And it doesn't scare me the way it scares other people to get on a mic or to talk to people or to be in a group of people. Like it's oddly very comforting. Yeah.
Freeing.
I wouldn't say freeing, because there's anxiety afterwards, but it's comforting in that, like, I feel like I'm in the right place.
So your anxiety comes after?
Yeah, it comes after, because I want to say something better. Or I wish I had done something better. I wish I would have leaned into the crowd work a little bit more. You know, I'm second guessing the things that I should have done.
Were you a theater kid?
I was a theater kid. I realized very quickly that the only thing I liked about being on stage was that I was on stage. And so I'm not an actor. I can't become another person. I can do drag, but drag is still, and I do drag, but drag is still just me another form of me, a heightened version of me, and it's always my voice. And so, yeah, no, I'm not a good actor. I'm a bad actor. People always say I can't act. Like friends want to cast, like do scripts. And I'm like, that you don't want me for that. Trust me.
I mean, it feels like, with comedy, you're able to kind of share your story. I mean, I'm assuming that, I don't know, were you using your own experiences for your material?
My failures,
your failures, yes. Did you lean into kind of your queerness in your comedy, would you say? Or
that's another thing I never really have done in that way. I've always just been very much myself. I've never made being gay necessarily my comedy, but I am very gay in my comedy. It's very gay. But at the same time, being gay isn't the joke. Like I often in New York for those years, I didn't get a lot of play in gay rooms. I had to create my own show at Metropolitan Bar in New York in Brooklyn, because I couldn't get booked on gay shows. I wasn't getting booked except for friends shows, and I wasn't doing well in gay rooms, but I was doing well in straight rooms. And so I just kind of leaned into not feeling like I needed to be more gay in my comedy, because I never thought, and even with what I do now, and as I've transitioned to more of a personality and a media influencer type, that I find myself being the only gay in a straight space often. And I don't know if that's intentional or not, if I've done that subconsciously or not, but like I thrive in that area because I'm able to maintain a queerness, but yet use it in a mainstream sense. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I do.
Yeah.
I very much relate to that, just because my whole 20s was me. I mean, ultimately I wasn't out, but I was the queer one playing in the straight world very comfortably. And while I'm now building this queer community, I still have all my straight friends who will come. And it's so funny because when we launched the BabyGay community in February of 2023, and I had some straight friends come and tell me later, like, I was kind of nervous coming to your event, but like it was so like normal. I was like, like, I'm not sure what you expected, but like
that's also what I love about the straight community within what I do. And also like most of my following, I mean, I get a report from like whatever the people, then they say like, who follows engagement stuff, and it's mainly straight women. It's mainly women that are following me and stuff. And I like it. I respect that because I know that's my voice. I know that's who I'm speaking to, because I speak from a place of pop culture and nostalgia, and like that is very much the community. And I have a big gay, like gays follow me too. Thank you. But like, but I do think that I never think about alienating groups. I just stick to doing me and whatever I'm interested in, and hopefully someone else gets something from that, no matter what walk of life they come from.
Yeah. So okay, so then you have done a lot of things in your career, which has led to you writing for Newsweek.
So it was after chemo, I had been writing, and I've been doing some stuff on some writers' rooms on shows and stuff, and I never really responded to it. I always thought the trajectory for a stand-up was you either get your own show or you get staffed in a writer's room for a show. And that's just sort of the direction. And that was me following a path that didn't feel necessarily natural. So I was doing the steps that I thought I was supposed to do. I needed to find a way to do me, but in a different way. And one of the things that I always have loved is entertainment and celebrities and Hollywood and movies and TV. And I'm also really good at talking to people. So I thought like I can figure out a way to sort of morph that into a different form of me doing comedy, a different form of me doing a personality, and yet use it as an engaging tool to have great conversations and maybe offer people a different perspective on what a celebrity interview could be or the types of questions they might be asked. And so that's kind of how that all worked. And I worked on my personality and trying to get seen in those spaces. And I had a background, of course, in writing, and I also had a background in politics because I worked in politics for years. So like I had some serious credential to be able to get into a space that allowed me to be taken seriously, and then crafted my own little area.
Let's talk about your podcasts. Okay. You have a few different ones.
Yes, I do.
How do you juggle them? Like, give us.
Well, right now I primarily have the two. I have Newsweek's Parting Shot, which is the culture podcast that I do, and it's where all of my celebrity coverage, pop culture conversations start at and end at. And that's that one. And then I have one that I've done for now over 10 years, the Golden Girls podcast, Out on the Lanai. And it really, I'm really proud of that one because now, ever since then, there's been a lot of Golden Girls podcasts, and they're all fantastic, I swear. But it was really important for me to be the first in doing that because it was so early in podcasting, and no one was really doing recap podcasts at that point in 2014, and so it was really important for me to be the first in that space for something that I loved a lot, which is the Golden Girls, and so we did that. So now we recapped every episode of the Golden Girls and the Golden Palace, and then we noticed that there was a demand for us to continue doing it or continue. And now with the anniversary of Golden Girls coming up and like all of the different things, like we've kept doing the podcast because the community is so tight, and we've created a wonderful little community for ourselves of just Golden Girls fans that now we do all the projects that the girls have done over the years. And we even revisit old episodes of the Golden Girls again, just to give a different perspective at this point in our lives, because we've been doing the podcast for so long.
What's actually, I'm curious, like now rewatching it and you evolving in your life, what's been the most significant maybe realization you had in like a rewatch of an episode?
A lot of people, I mean, jokes age, comedy ages. You know, comedy is meant to be consumed in the moment, the moment it is delivered. It's not necessarily meant to be dissected 20 years from now. And one of the things that I found really interesting about doing it is that we often come across things on the show that maybe wouldn't fly today because of a joke or whatever it is. And I think it's really important for people to not necessarily shame the show or the thing for saying the fat joke or saying whatever it is, whatever it might be, but recognizing, and going back to history, recognizing that you can't hold history up to modern day. You have to hold history up to the day in which it was delivered. And sure, it might not have been appropriate for a fat joke to have been delivered in 1986. The time was different. And it doesn't necessarily excuse the joke, but it also doesn't take away from how good the joke is. And so you can find a rational balance to accepting the joke, recognizing that it's wrong, or maybe that it was said inappropriately, but also recognizing that it's a good joke. It reminds me of like when Joan Rivers was hosting the red carpet at the Oscars for years, and I think it was the year of the Titanic came out, and she said a joke that is so inappropriate it would get her fired today. I think it may have even gotten her fired back then. But Kathy Bates was walking towards her, and she said, "The lady who sank the Titanic, Kathy Bates," and it's so inappropriate, but yet it is also a perfect joke. It is a perfect joke blending pop culture and that moment in time together. And I just won't cancel her for it because it's a perfect joke. As a comedian, it's a perfect joke.
Yeah.
And so gotta have some context.
Yes. I just learned about the Joan Rivers, Johnny Carson whole.
Oh yeah, you just learned about that?
I just learned about this.
Oh, it's good.
It's juicy. Can you recap the audience?
Yes, I can. So Joan Rivers, iconic comedian, everyone should know her. If you don't, what's wrong with you? And she would often co-host. And Joan Winton was offered a Fox, I think it was, Fox late night show. And she didn't tell Johnny. I think she told Johnny maybe a little too late once it was done, but it was a lot of money and she wanted to go after it. And she didn't see anything wrong with it. Well, Johnny was pissed and they never spoke again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then was it just he was so butthurt that she, like, I don't fully understand why he was so angry.
Well, he was an ornery person. I mean, he notoriously was an ornery person and complicated, a complicated man with a complicated past. And he had a really self-involved, but also genius. He was great at what he did. I mean, he was genius. He was the perfect late night host because he did that perfect balance of being a personality while also not being too much of a personality to overshadow the person you're speaking with. And I think back to like those episodes of him with Bette Midler. I mean, Bette Midler essentially became the personality that the public knew of her because of her appearances on The Tonight Show. So yeah, I mean, he was important, but he also was a man of the 1970s and 80s, 60s, 70s and 80s and 90s who had a lot of power, and he knew how much power he had, and he used it sometimes in not the best of ways.
He blacklisted her. Right?
Yeah. Oh, he fully blacklisted her, and she didn't work for years after her Tonight Show or her late night show failed. She didn't work for years, but also she had her husband's suicide during that period, and so like there was a struggle there for years that she dealt with, but she bounced back. There's a great television movie starring Joan Rivers and Melissa Rivers as themselves about the suicide in that period of their lives. It's great. It's probably on YouTube. Watch it.
It's fiction.
No, it's
historical fiction.
It's not fiction at all. It's them telling their story,
it's
playing themselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one thing that we do talk about on every episode is kind of media, books, film, TV, podcasts that were helpful during your coming out process. Like, is there something that sticks out to you?
For me, the most important things for coming out, even though I didn't really ever have necessarily a coming out experience, because I just kind of was able to morph into being gay. I feel like people would have been really upset if I wasn't gay, because I just was that person for most of my childhood.
Okay.
And it was just accepted that I was going to be different. And even when I was a kid, my mom would say to me and my brothers, when you grow up and have kids, and then she would turn to me and go, or adopt. Like, there was always sort of like an acceptance that like, I am different. I'm going to live life a little differently than what would likely be a custom for my brothers. And so it never was strange. It only became strange when other people made it strange outside of the home. My mom never let me not watch those movies or read those books, or there was never anything that was off limits. So I was able to explore what was naturally happening in my brain from a very young age through pop culture. But I would say that probably the most important queer cultural figures that had an impact on me as a child would be David Sedaris. I mean, I have followed David's work from the moment he started writing for, doing stuff on radio and then writing for the New Yorker and everything. And it was a queer sensibility. I remember I was introduced to it by a high school English teacher. I was introduced to one of his essays, and it was just about him meeting his partner or his husband, now husband. And it was so natural and normal, and there was never any question of the storyline or the story and what he was saying. It was just about the writing, and I was obsessed with the writing of it, and how it was just so human and natural, and not a pride parade, and not a rainbow mention, and not any of it. It was just a man complaining, which is I do very well, existing, and being himself in his own unique, quirky, weird way that doesn't align with how everyone else does. Like, I imagine myself, I walk into spaces sort of like Nathan Lane from The Birdcage, and that's another one around the same time that had a huge impact on me, because I saw The Birdcage, and then while watching it, I related to Nathan Lane in a way that made me very uncomfortable, because I knew that was my future. That was who I am. That is the type of person that I am, that people get out of my way because they don't want to deal with me because maybe I'm a little bit of a mess, or I'm going to be a lot, or I'm extra, or I'm dramatic, or whatever it is. And I hated it. I got really scared after the movie, because I thought, like, that is me. I know that's me. And my mom, I remember on the drive home, she said that she really liked Nathan Lane's character because he was himself, and it was just kind of brave to sort of be unabashedly extra in that way,
Your mom is incredible.
She's incredible. And that made me happy, because I was like, okay, I can be extra. It's okay to be extra.
It's you being authentic. It gives off this energy of just real, and that's always attractive, I think, outwardly. Just
I hope so.
To in general. Yeah, I really do. So, okay, two questions. One, so your mom is incredible.
Yeah.
When did you have that verbalization of I'm gay, or I'm interested in dating men, or how old were you?
Maybe my mom remembers a moment. I don't remember a moment that stands out to me. And because it always was there never were tears, there never was a coming out, there never was an understanding of anything. It was always just very okay, and I'm really grateful for that. And I know how privileged I am for that, because especially coming from the community that I come from, being Mormon and Midwestern and all of that, that's really rare, and I know how special I am for that. But there never was a moment where I had to verbalize the words I'm gay, because the hand did it for me, or the me obsessing over me going to me insisting that my mom get me out of school so I can go to the first showing of the First Wives Club. Like, that level of commitment to Goldie Hawn, Bette Midler, and Diane Keaton, and Maggie Smith, honorable mention, Stockard Channing and her glass eye, another honorable mention. That commitment to those women and those stories, like, I think said everything.
What about your gender journey? Because
I think if I ever had to sort of align where I wasn't authentically myself, it would be through my gender appearance over the years. There were years there where I would have a beard, or I would have facial hair, or I would try to lose weight a lot, or try to get muscly, or do CrossFit, or whatever it was, to fit into the stereotype in which I saw. So that way, mainly because I thought if I do that, then I can get to the joke quicker. I can get to the thing quicker. If they see me in the way that they are used to seeing people, then I don't have to worry about all of the things. And so those are the only areas of my life that I think I've ever been really inauthentic. And so now I say in all my things that it's he, they, unless I'm in drag, and then it's she. But I accept she. I accept everything, because I mainly have he, they on my profiles to show that, like, I'm open to whatever, and I will meet you wherever you're at. And also to be, let's be chill about it. But know that, like, I know my gender is a spectrum. I know that I'm fine identifying as he. I do live my life in that world. I identify that way. But I also recognize that, like, I exist in the world in a very feminine way. And so the they is there as sort of like a, don't forget, like, the purse is ready.
Yeah. I think, everything you're saying, I agree with and do the same thing. And it's like, for me, my understanding of gender is like, you're not supposed to necessarily have to think about it. Like, it's just, you are what you are. And like, that's where gender is just this societal thing that has placed these like boxes.
And also like how you can express yourself. I mean, I recognize I just got exhausted sort of trying to maintain anything, when in reality, I like bags. I like doing my nails. I like wearing makeup. I like making sure that I love makeup, and I love spending hours at Sephora. And that's another part of me. It doesn't necessarily mean that I don't live my life as male in other areas of my life, but yet I wouldn't want to deny those other aspects of me and who I am. And so I quite literally, going back to that little kid who saw Nathan Lane in the birdcage, like, my best friend, Elliot Glazer, whom I love to death, he said, we were at a party recently, and he was like, you really are Nathan Lane. He saw me coming into a party that we were at, and I'm extra. And so, like, if I have to walk over, I'm not going to walk through a thing. And so people get out of my way to, like, so I can go around in a thing, so I don't have to, it's like a thing. And I don't realize that I'm being difficult, and I don't think I'm trying to be difficult, but I also recognize that, like, I'm not ashamed that I need what I need in the moment, or I'm just going to walk away from the moment, and I don't care. And I recognize that I am kind of like Nathan Lane in that way, in that, like, I have my needs and my things, even down to, like, it's become a joke now, but people know if there's like shopping bags and stuff, I can't carry them because I'm clumsy. I will fall, things will happen. I'll make a big deal about it being an annoyance. And so friends have started just holding my bags when we're out in public. And I know it's cute and funny, but it's also like very real. Like, it's very much the Nathan Lane that I saw as a kid that I knew I would become. I have become in my everyday life. And I'm not ashamed of it because, I can't deny it. Because I know when I go to Gold's Gym in Hollywood, and there are all those muscle people around me, I just go for a little, like, what's the walking machine? The treadmill. Okay. And then I go on the thing with the bars.
The elliptical.
And I do that for a little bit, and then I go downstairs and I set a watch, and I'm like 15 minutes of lifting heavy things, and I don't know what I'm lifting or how I'm supposed to lift them, but I do them. Right. But I see how people look at me in that space, because I'm just trying to do the things so that maybe I can live another year. I don't want to live too long, because I feel like it's expensive, and also, like, 80 sucks, I think, unless, like, you're Jane Fonda and have the money to, like, make it cool. But, like, I'm not going to have money when I'm 80, and that's going to suck. So I probably should die when I'm like 75. So I want to make sure that I make it to 75. And that's why I do that 15 minutes of heavy stuff. And then I'm done. But I know how people are looking at me.
That gym is crazy.
It is crazy. It is crazy.
In particular.
But imagine me in that space on a machine, not knowing how the machine works. So there's moments of me just staring at it, but then no one wants to help me because they know there's going to be like 8 more questions if they say anything to me. So they just avoid me, which fair. I get it. There will be 8 more questions. And so, yeah, I get how I'm perceived and I'm okay with it.
That gym is very intimidating. Everyone there is gorgeous and ripped and gay.
I recognized a friend by his butt.
Okay.
So I was on the treadmill. There's this wonderful man who I sometimes do. Mario Diaz hosts a party at El Cid called Hot Dog.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the guys there he does sketches at Hot Dog, and he was on the elliptical, and I was looking at the butt, and I was like, I know that butt. I feel like I know that butt. It was a nice butt. And then I saw, and he turned around. I was like, oh yeah.
Hey.
I know that butt. Yeah.
How are
I didn't
ya?
say hey. I don't say
you
hey
didn't
to
say-
anyone at the gym.
Okay,
no.
that's good.
I DM'd him afterwards. though.
Okay, right.
Yeah, because I'm not gonna talk to someone at a gym.
That's firstly, I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't talk. I mean, I
Don't
see all these
recognize-
people like
no.
talking. I'm like,
No.
why
Someone came up to me and they were like, "Hey Sadie," and I was on the treadmill and I was like, "You see what I'm not running." But like, so I could talk. Like I'm at a talking pace. But I'm like, what are you doing? No, talk to me.
No
I'm
talkie. Don't talk us.
no.
Don't talk at the gym.
No, I mean, I leaned in. I yes-ander, but I was not happy about it.
Okay, so we're coming towards the end,
Okay.
but let's do a rapid fire question series.
Oh, see, that always a problem. Again, the 8 questions that follow someone coming up to me, rapid fire is always never good. But okay.
Well, we'll go with it, and maybe we'll cut it. Who knows?
I mean, no, don't cut
Okay,
it.
don't
Don't
cut
cut
it.
it.
We won't cut it.
No,
We won't
never
cut it.
cut
We
it.
won't cut it.
Oh my
We won't cut
God.
okay. Dorothy, Blanche, Rose, or Sophia?
Oh, Dorothy. No, Blanche. Depends. Drag Blanche, Dorothy life.
Okay. Golden Girls episode you quote the most?
Ooh. I forget the name of the episode, but it's the one that Blanche goes, "The man since you meet," which is Blanche saying it to Dorothy. Yeah.
Best Golden Girls guest star ever?
Debbie Reynolds. She wasn't used enough. She could have been used more, but Debbie Reynolds was great.
If you had to replace one Golden Girl with a Muppet, who would it be?
Miss Piggy. And I would, I would replace, oh my God. Ooh, replace though. Well, you know what? Stan really was the 5th Golden Girl, Dorothy's ex-husband. And unfortunately, in this situation, I'll never get rid of the girl. So I'm going to replace Stan with Miss Piggy.
That's great.
As the neighbor.
Perfect. That's
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Muppet you most identify with?
Miss Piggy. Miss Piggy's on my phone.
We have a very strong connection there too, because
Yeah.
the Muppets, my oldest sister met her husband while working at Jim Henson in New York.
Oh,
while
yeah.
I was like,
I used to work for the Jim Henson
You
Company.
did?
Yeah.
okay, B. Arthur or Miss Piggy in a bar fight, who wins?
Oh, Miss Piggy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because B. Arthur's like me, too lazy. She won't engage.
Okay.
And she doesn't have her shoes on. She never wore shoes.
What's more emotional? Thank you for being a friend or Rainbow Connection?
Oh, Rainbow Connection.
Favorite cheesecake flavor?
I don't like cheesecake. Isn't that crazy? I'm not, but neither did Dorothy, or neither did B. Arthur. She was not a cheesecake fan. No, I don't like cheesecake. I am a sweets person, but I don't cheesecake. Whenever I'm we go to Cheesecake Factory a lot.
Okay.
2 orders. I either get there's this new chicken dish that I've been trying. It's delicious. Or I get the salmon if I'm trying to be sensible and, Ozempic. And so, yeah, I tried that. But when it comes to the dessert moment, I filled up on the brown bread. I don't have room for the cheesecake. That brown bread, when the butter melts.
What's your, I have a huge sweet tooth myself. So what's your, what do you
I
indulge in?
love a donut.
Okay.
I love donuts. I don't indulge in donuts enough, but I love a donut, and I could eat
From
the
where?
shit out of a donut.
Where do you live?
I live in Hollywood.
Have you been to SK Donuts? It's in it's like near 3rd and La Brea. It's off of 3rd. It's on 3rd.
I don't
It's
think
like
I
right
have.
near the Palazzo. I
I
used to
don't
live
think
on
I
the street,
have.
and it's
No.
just so fucking
Is it
good.
delicious?
It's so good.
Oh,
the
I'll have to try
cronuts, really
oh,
good.
a cronut.
Cronut.
Okay.
And it's
that
just
feels
simple.
very sophisticated.
It's delicious.
Okay.
And also, like, speaking of that, San Francisco,
Yeah.
Arsa Cult. Have you been?
No, I've never been.
It is. No, I had nothing against a croissant,
Yeah.
but they
Yeah.
make the most incredible croissants
Oh,
on earth. Better than
okay.
Paris. Been to Paris.
Better than
Paris.
Wow.
It's started by a French
Paris
person.
is an overrated city. I'm going to say it. It's an overrated city.
Why do you say that?
Okay, Paris is good. You go there for a day, you get a taste. It's like San Francisco in that, no offense to San Francisco, but the only thing I've ever taken from San Francisco was an STD. So it's a city that you go to for like a day or two. You see someone naked, you had an experience, tell your friends when you get home, and that's it. Like, you're done. When it comes to like an enjoyable city experience, give me London, give me Berlin.
Berlin's my favorite.
Berlin's amazing. I love Berlin.
Yeah.
I mean, the Jewish Museum in Berlin is like one of
Yes.
the best museums in the world. The food in Berlin is amazing.
So
the
sad.
people in Berlin, so diverse.
Yeah.
I mean, it is just, I love Berlin so
Me too.
much.
It's my favorite city.
Yeah.
That was part of that was like I went to Berlin on this like experience, and I came back way gayer.
So speaking of gay, I was doing years ago. This is a fun story. I swear it's quick, even though it's supposed to be rapid fire. I went. I was performing in Berlin. I was on like an English student tour or whatever, and we were performing for English students. And I went out afterwards to some gay bar, and they had the dark rooms at some of the bars in Berlin. And one of the guys was like, "Let's go downstairs," and I was like, "I'm not cool enough for the dark room. Like, I can't, like, look at me, like." I look like I'm going to ask gay questions. Like, I'm not cool enough for the dark room. And I go downstairs and someone starts like sweetening up to me. And I'm like, oh, maybe I am cool enough. And so then there was an experience happening. And as soon as we had that experience, other people wanted to come have that experience with me. And I was like, yeah, bitch, I'm cool.
Yeah.
I'm cool. This is going to age me a little bit. But I went upstairs to buy the guy a drink that was like giving me the cool experience. And I realized I couldn't find my wallet or anything. And so I went back downstairs thinking maybe I dropped it, wholesome. And I just saw a sea of my business cards, like comedy business cards that had my face on it, smiling with like a microphone because it was like 2012. And it was just laughing up at me because instead of being cool in that moment, I was being robbed. Yeah, I was being robbed. Yeah, I've been robbed. But have you ever been robbed while getting a blowjob? Probably not. You know what I mean?
You know what? Worth it.
Yeah, worth it.
Worth it.
I didn't make much then anyway, so they didn't get much.
Worth
but they
it.
didn't want my business cards, let me tell you, because it was just on the ground. Lots of semen in my face just looking right up at me. It was very sad.
Wow. Yeah. Berlin.
Yeah.
High
Great
up-
city.
It is
Great city. Great city. Totally worth it.
It is worth
Totally
it.
worth
It really is.
Yeah.
It is worth
Yeah,
it. Okay. Favorite Jewish holiday?
Oh, Purim.
Okay.
Yeah.
Top queer icon.
Actually, no, let me take that back. I'm going to say it's not a holiday, but Shabbat. Shabbat is one of the best daily or weekly things you can experience. I want more people to experience. I want more people, even non-Jewish, to practice Shabbat in their lives. The practice of literally intentionally on a Friday stepping back and saying, no, I'm taking time for me. I'm going to do something comforting for me. I'm going to eat a nice meal. I'm going to be with friends. I'm going to be with family. You can make it spiritual or not. Yeah. But the practice of Shabbat will give you so much peace in your life that I encourage everyone, Jewish and not, to adopt the mindset of Shabbat.
Go-to karaoke song?
Oh, man, I feel like a woman or private dancer. Yeah.
Astrology? Believer or hater?
Here's the thing. I always say that astrology is for people without personalities because, like, it gives them something to talk about in a public setting. Because if you can't just exist within yourself and not have to talk about whatever some moon says about you, like, what are you doing? Read a book, find a personality. That said, I'm a Cancer and I think it's fun. Yeah. I mean, that's literally it. I don't get it. But
that's incredible. And lastly, favorite guest on the parting shot?
Oh, that's hard. But I have to go with Bette Midler. Bette Midler was so foundational to who I am as a personality. And she just is my personality. And so to get the interviews that I've gotten with her and the time that I've gotten with her, and then also the follow through, I'll say this, like, people, a lot of times when you interview people, you talk with people that you admire a lot, sometimes they're just people. And they're not as exciting as people because I have this thing in my head of them. And for Bette Midler, she was a person. She was a real person, and we engaged in a really friendly, personal way. But then afterwards, she recognized how much she meant to me. And it was this beautiful package came, and she gave me a wonderful, beautiful note, and I've since gotten others. And it's like, she recognizes that her worth and her career is because of people like me. And so she pays, and I'm saying that like I'm special, but like fans like me. And she recognizes it and she calls it out and she doesn't take it for granted. And she knows how special that is. And she follows through with showing how much she cares. And Bette Midler is the one and only.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Our last segment, we call it My First Time.
Ooh.
So it's you share your first queer crush, queer kiss, queer date, queer sexual experience.
Okay. What should I start with?
Well, it doesn't have to be all of them. Just like whatever of those kind of like first.
Okay, well, my biggest takeaway and biggest thing that I always tell everybody, but particularly young queer people, is that heterosexual males will be your friend in a way that you wouldn't expect. Most of my young sexual experiences came from heterosexual males, men who would be willing to whatever for the sake of whatever was needed. And I learned a lot about myself by their needs. And in satisfying their needs, which I know I wasn't anything to them, but I learned more about me in the process. And so I often say that if you're young and it's safe and everything is fine and you can do it and it's being offered to you, take the straight dick, because you'll learn a lot. And also it'll teach you too that like sexuality is so fluid, and that these binaries that we exist within, gay and straight and lesbian, like all these different things, we want to label the things that we are. And it's like, and sure, I know I'm very much in that sort of queer gay territory, but I also recognize that like sexuality is a spectrum. And so learning that at a young age, and learning that like whatever I am might be appealing to a straight dick sometimes, I'll take it.
Love.
Yeah.
Yes.
It helped me.
You can't. I mean, well, I'll speak for myself because I'm in the same way. Like
Yeah.
I've been a magnet for these straight closeted
Yes.
folks.
Yeah.
And in the
And
beginning,
I still am.
yes,
That's
exactly.
the crazy
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
Like even in drag,
Yeah.
like straight men are coming
Yeah.
and they're like flirting with
Yeah.
me. They're clown fuckers,
Yeah.
but like still, like they're accessing me in that
Yeah.
way, and I know how to navigate them. I know
Yes.
how to speak their language.
Yes.
You know.
Would you say in the beginning, I'll speak for myself, like I would fall for it and I would fall in love with them, and then it was just this like painful cycle.
I definitely did fall in love a couple of times. Yeah, but I also always knew that I separated the need from love a lot of times, and I was able to, I think, recognize that early on. So I didn't fall in love too often. I often was just as horny as they were and just wanted the thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I was done.
Mhm.
Like I didn't need more.
Mhm.
Like we don't have to talk.
Right.
Like go away.
Yeah.
Like I was very Samantha or
Yeah.
Blanche in that respect.
Yeah.
Samantha from Sex and the City.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I didn't really internalize that, but if you can emotionally, and again, that takes some emotional maturity.
Yeah.
To recognize that like sometimes it is just that, and it doesn't have to mean XYZ more things. And if you can't handle that, then maybe the straight dick isn't for you.
What about friends hooking up with friends?
I think it's great.
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful. If you can figure out the lanes of communication, of consent, of course, of boundaries, of all the things that you want to communicate. And, we're sexual, I think, throughout our lives. And just as, as myself being like male identifying, like we continue to, there's a horniness that lasts for a long time.
Mhm.
And if you create that community of people that you can have sexual communication with, be it through pictures, funny texts, or whatever it is, like just, or trysts, or whatever you want to, whatever it might be that satisfies that itch, I think that can be a really rewarding friendship
Mhm.
that you can have for years and years to come,
Mhm.
that can really sort of be it can fill your sex chapters throughout your life
Yeah.
as you age and things change for you.
Yeah. There's like obviously there's an intimate connection there.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily need to lead to a relationship.
I think queer people have really personified that to a degree in being able to have those communications, to have those sort of relationships, so that you don't take away from the core relationship in your life if you are in a relationship. And that way you're able to sort of maintain the strength of that without feeling deprived because of these other areas that not one person can always meet.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
you can't put all of your sexual needs necessary and emotional needs all onto one person.
Yeah.
Like that's such a heavy weight
Yeah.
that it's like you need that community of people, sometimes sexual, sometimes not, that scratch those itches, if you will, in the ways that you need so that you can get through life, because life's fucking hard.
Yeah.
And that's why straight men have those midlife crises and go fuck those 22-year-olds and buy bad cars. It's because they didn't have that friend that they could be like, hey, look at my dick. And the friend goes, hey, great dick. And that would have been great for the day. That probably would have been great if they wouldn't have had that 22-year-old fling or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They
I
would have gone
do.
home to their wife and had a nice time and
Yeah.
whatever it is. And
Yeah.
felt really good about his dick because his friend said he had a good dick. And then he
Right.
went and whatever. You know what I mean?
I
Like
do.
it just could have, I just feel like it creates healthier relationships.
It lets out the pent up energy.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, on that note, this has been incredible.
I love
Thank
that we
you
ended on dicks.
so much. Ending on dicks.
That's pretty much on par for me.
It is perfect way to
Yeah,
end it.
yeah.
Thank you so much, H. Allen.
Thank
This is
you.
incredible. Where can people find you on social?
H. Allen Scott on everything.
Okay.
Yeah, everywhere.
And like your podcast, you have different
Yeah,
handles.
Parting Shot podcast and Out On The Lanai, the Golden Girls podcast, and the drag is Sadie Pines, and the disappointment is Twitter. So you can go there for that. Yeah. I think I'm shadow banned. I made a joke about Elon Musk once, and I think I'm shadow banned.
Yeah,
It's
well,
fine. I'm
yeah,
okay with it.
Yeah.
Like it's
Blue Sky.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, blue sky.
Blue sky.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were saying like, it's always blue sky.
Oh, there's always blue
Yeah.
skies out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that other app.
There's this other
You're right.
app,
Yes,
this Blue
yes,
Sky.
I'm on that too.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can follow me there as well.
Well, coming out looks good on you.
Oh, well, thank you.
That's our little slogan.
I love that.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was wonderful.
This was awesome.
Yeah.
Yay.
I didn't say anything inappropriate,
Oh,
did
please.
I?